You're watching Traders Morning Setups with Dex the Algo Capitalist. Dex created his pulse wave price trigger reports over 2 decades ago, and he's been using them to ride the pulse waves as a full-time trader ever since. Find out more about Dex's reports and sign up for our next webinar to learn how to use them at pulsewavetrading.com.
Good morning, everyone. It's that time of day where we have to look at these overnight markets and go over the news headlines that will be affecting today's trading. And we're also going to go over some of our morning trade setups and do all that fun stuff. But right before we do that, I got to bring on my main man, Frank, to share some exciting news with you. Frank, take it away.
Hey, man. I was in the green room eating bananas. How's it going?
Outstanding.
Wait, we're having a great week at Pulse Wave Trading. So this is exciting stuff. And we announced this yesterday. We want to make sure that all Pulse Wavers and potential Pulse Wavers and people who dream about being Pulse Wavers would learn about this special event that started last night. And we're doing something really special. We've been sharing for people who don't know. Now, you just heard it in my voice in that new intro to your wonderful morning show about how you've been riding the pulse waves for 2 decades. You produce these very simple tradable reports. They've got a few numbers on them, and every pulse waver learns very quickly what to do with those numbers, and it's exactly the system that you use. In fact, your watch list is literally your watch list. It's not a gimmick. There's no like special secret watch list that you really trade. This is what you trade. That's why we call it Dex's watch list. So we made so many updates to the way we help people. What's the word I want? You made tremendous updates to the pulse wave price trigger reports themselves to make them more awesome, as you are constantly doing. But we really changed the way people experience pulse wave trading. We should probably like change the name or something to convey the difference. The pulse wave price triggers are there. They're updated. They're better than ever. They're easier to use. But in addition to that, you have created a live trading experience for people where they're with you when you get the report and you are updating your own orders or placing your own orders in the markets, there to answer questions, there to demonstrate how it's done right on your screen for people who sign up. And if they can't be there live, they can watch the videos in one case right after and in the other shortly after. But these are 2 live trading events, one first thing in the morning and one in the evening after the reports come out. People can watch them whenever they want, or even better, if someone is serious about trading, they could be there. They could be there for your morning bullpen. They can be there for your evening watch list orders. But what we're doing this week is special. We're allowing anybody who wants to sign up. You just got to give your email to get in there, and you can watch these orders. And I was going to say off the top of my head what you do, but I have a typo-ridden version of it right here. So it's like 3 tasks away to fix this, and yet here I am showing it to everybody. So be our guest, and this is what you get to do. You just got to give your email. We don't sell your email. We use it to try to endear ourselves to you and tell you how awesome we are. Be our guest. Join Dex in the Pulse Wave community for our usually private member-only meeting. You're going to learn the basic system of the price trigger reports from Dex himself. Watch live as my main man Dex uses the price triggers to place his evening orders. I'm getting back to my teaching days now. Explain the process and take your questions in the live chat. This happens around 8:30 most nights, and it's a great meeting. So you just click on any one of these, and you could watch it from last night, even if you're not a Pulse Wave member. See, here's the thing, folks. Right here, if you clicked on this, which is the watch list thing for tonight, and you're not a full Pulse Wave Pro subscriber, it just says, "Hi there. Would you like to become a subscriber?" So what we did this week is we set it up. In addition to that, we set it up as a webinar that you could register for free. So we're just doing that until tonight, tomorrow night, and then Monday morning, we're going to let you in the bullpen, which is a slightly different experience in the morning. So I just came on Dex to tell people about that. We're very excited. Oh, and the biggest part, it's not just the videos. See these buttons? Dex, do you remember last night I pushed these buttons and they were faux? They did nothing.
Yes.
Look at this, man. It's like a whole button that like goes places.
This
is usually several feet behind our ironclad paywall.
Yes, it is.
And this is just out here. Like you could type this in and go see it. This is Dex's watch list, and it's going to be available until Monday morning. And then down the rest of the page, I just added some of those boxes to keep it convenient. But
Beautiful work,
right
my
there,
brother.
so pulsewavetrading.com, and you can participate this week. And listen, this is a fantastic way to get started. You could watch that little orientation to get ready for it if you want. It's about a half hour of us talking about the pulse waves and joking around and stuff. But we're really excited about this. We're doing some renovations. You know, our site has a lot of ugly pages on it, and we're simplifying everything down and making it easier to use than ever. So thanks for giving me the time, Dex. I'm going to let you get back to the morning setups, which is the greatest show ever, where these 2-bar Charlies are super valuable for people, and all the other stuff you do. So we really appreciate it. One thing, Dex, I always notice from people, you know, we're in business here. We're not doing this for free, but people can tell that you're passionate about teaching people how to trade and showing them how to use this great tool that you've made for the world. And so we always get people thanking you for everything you do, like they're not paying for it. Like, well, people who've paid us for years, and they're like, "Oh, thank you so much, Dex." And I'm like, man, people only feel that way when they know someone is doing it from the bottom of their heart. So
Correct.
that's one of the reasons I'm so excited about this. Is I feel like it's a way for people to really get the full experience of what you've created by using it with you every day. All right, I'm going to stop. I
Correct.
could talk for 2 hours. I've been drinking coffee since 6 a.m. I should get out of here. I'll let you do your show. Thanks,
I
buddy, and thank
appreciate
you,
you,
Pulse
brother.
Favors, for all your support. We love you guys. We really do. All right, I'll get out of here.
All right, see you later.
Have a great show, buddy. Take care, everybody.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the main man, Frank. You know how we do here. You knew what we do here. We take a look at these markets. So right now we're going to look at the overnight markets and see what is brewing for today's trading session, as the opening bell has now rung on Wall Street. First and foremost, we start from the top of the list. The US dollar index is up 19 pips at 105.73. And you got the euro down 19 pips at 106.94. Pound sterling down 26 pips at 122.72. And the Aussie down 6 pips at 64.34. Bitcoin futures down $535, trading at $35,610. The Ethereum futures is trading at $1,900 even, down $19. We have crude oil futures down 55 cents per barrel, trading at $76.82 per barrel. We have nat gas off almost a nickel, trading at $3.10. We have gold futures down 500. I'm sorry, down $5.70. I almost said $500. Good grief. $5.07, trading at $1,967.50 per ounce. Silver futures are up 20 cents, trading at $22.78 per ounce. Copper off a penny, trading at $3.66. The Dow futures up 57 at 34,272. E-mini S&P 500 futures up 8.5 at 4404.5. And the Nasdaq 100 futures is up 27 and 3/4 points at 15,403 and 3/4. Russell down 9.3 points at 1731.1. And soybean futures rallying quite powerfully this morning, up 20, trading at $13.82 per bushel. And we got corn up 6 cents at $4.74 per bushel. And wheat is up 7 cents at $5.78 per bushel. We have three 2-bar Charlie setups to talk about this morning. Pound sterling has a bearish 2-bar Charlie setup, and we expect it to be an all-day down day and for the market to finish in the red. As far as corn and wheat, they are both bullish 2-bar Charlie setups, and we're expecting those to finish in the green today and have an all-day up day. All right, before we get started with the news, I must pause myself for just one moment. And we are back. Hey, what up, Aaron, in the live chat? Smash that like button for me. All right, so this is what we got going on today in our world of economics. As far as the markets are concerned, the bond market crash hasn't been kind to big banks. In tech, many people are reportedly interested in getting implanted with Elon Musk's brain chips. And in business, a case study for how banning Airbnb in one city helped lower rent cost. But first, the big story: economy all stars. When it comes to the economy, who's winning? It's been a wild year, from rising rates and significant layoffs to volatile stock and bond markets. But what's detrimental to one group could benefit another. To get a lay of the land, we are going to rank different groups of faring and see what's going on with these from an economic perspective. Well, first, you got the boomers. Old age has never looked this good. Baby boomers are the undisputed winners of the economy these days. They've gotten a mountain of cash. They're happily spending on themselves. They've locked in rock bottom mortgage rates and watched their home values skyrocket. And there's an ultra low risk investment that can net them solid returns. We have the dinks. I haven't heard of this one before. Apologies for the early morning math problem, but what do two incomes plus no kids equal? Financial security. Dinks, dual income, no kids, are living the good life. Their median net worth is just shy of $400,000, putting them well ahead of couples with kids at $250,600 respectively. And don't worry, a dog won't break the bank. It just makes you a dink wad. Generation Z. It's still early for Gen Zers, but they're off to a good start. After watching their parents and predecessors, millennials, struggle with finances, Gen Z is taking matters into their own hands. A May survey found that more than half of Gen Zers respondents had already started investing. They've also pushed for significant changes in the workplace to improve work life balance. Generation Alpha. It's really early for this group, which is mostly under 13 years old, but there's no denying their name exhibits some strength, and they've already achieved the impossible, making Gen Zers feel out of touch. And then there's the Henrys. On the surface, most people would welcome the title of Henry, high earning, but not rich yet. But unlike horseshoes, being almost rich doesn't get you that far. Wage growth has stalled in industries Henry's work and could face more layoffs. So there's also the added risk of AI coming for their jobs. Millennials, where to begin? It's nearly impossible to buy a house. The cost of childcare continues to rise. Student loan repayments have started up again, and the fracturing of social media means there's no place to post about how bad things have gotten. Life was a lot more fun when aim away messages were the biggest concern. Generation Beta. It's probably unfair to include people who aren't even born yet. Gen Beta starts in 2025. But first impressions are everything, and Gen Beta's name leaves something to be desired. And honorable mention, Generation X. Who? Jamie Dimon warns about the possibility of the most serious global crisis since World War II. The JP Morgan CEO said the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East are arguably the most serious since 1938. Instead of worrying about the markets, Diamond said we should consider the most important thing for the future of the world: freedom, democracy, food, energy, immigration. Banks are getting crushed by the treasury market rout. Major lenders are sitting on more than $100 billion in unrealized losses due to crashing bond prices. The worst of the Treasury sell off this is over, but banks aren't in the clear just yet. Meet four of Goldman Sachs' newly promoted managing directors. MDs represent the bank's biggest rising stars, placing them one step away from the bank's prestigious partnership. Blah, blah, blah. In tech, Google, OpenAI, and Microsoft are blaming users when generative AI models show copyrighted material. Any resulting liability should attach to the user, Google told the U.S. Copyright Office. Plus, Anderson Horowitz wants everyone to stop talking about AI's copyright issue. Thousands of people are reportedly lining up to have part of their skull removed. They'd have one of Elon Musk's brain chips implanted instead. His startup, Neuralink, received permission to start human trials and aims to operate on 11 people next year. Former President Barack Obama's most used apps. He gave a tour of his phone habits, and featured on his doc include Messages, Safari, Music, and an email app. He also enjoys some popular mobile games. In business, Bob Iger's not so triumphant return to Disney as CEO, it once sparked hope within the company, but insiders are now anxious. Some described an atmosphere of lingering fear and organizational confusion. The most definitive proof yet that banning Airbnbs makes rent prices go down. After a California city banned short term rentals, long term rent prices dropped by 3%. It's a single case study, but it's also real world validation of years of research that's found Airbnb and its many copycats drive up rents and home prices. The story behind Scooter Braun's right hand man and the now deceased Camilla Sterling. David Bolano wanted to make her a star, but after Sterling died in his hotel room, he wanted the world to forget. Yet the relationship appears to be more intertwined than just making music. In other news, what went wrong with WeWork? And what's going to happen to your WeWork office? The U.S. is quietly arming Taiwan against a Chinese invasion, but it could backfire. Florida prisons may violate policy by locking people in unsanitary shower stalls for hours on end. 11 photos show tributes to Friends star Matthew Perry in New York City and Los Angeles. A career influencer says millennials and Gen Z don't want to be managers anymore. Here's why. And Founder Collective has quietly built a seed investing powerhouse that just raised a $95 million new fund. Its secret sauce, they say, is staying small. But back to the Florida prisons, violating policy by locking people in unsanitary shower stalls for hours on end. You know, there's two different ways to look at this, to be quite honest with you. Um, uh, I don't know, man. On one hand, when people are in prison, the world seems to forget about them and they don't care. And, that's unfortunate. Okay. Not a whole lot you can do about that. All right. Um, gee. I just don't on one hand, yeah, I get it. You got a situation where, the worst that society has to offer is in there. They're locked up. People don't care, especially if you've been locked up for committing heinous crimes. Then the world tends to like forget about you. They don't really care what's going on with you. And sometimes people can become unruly inside of the prisons, and they run out of options on how to deal with them. So I don't know. But then on the other hand, too, regardless, and I do mean regardless of um, the locking of the prisoner in the shower, there's a situation where you got to understand that the showers in the prisons are absolutely disgusting. There's all types of DNA in those showers and even in the drains, if you know what I mean. So, with that being said, I don't think that it really makes a difference. Okay. It doesn't. It doesn't make a difference. What you do, what you say, it's just going to be what it's going to be. It's not going to stop them from punishing inmates. It's not going to stop them from sometimes having to use barbaric means to get to people. What are they supposed to do? You know, um, they could. It's not a lot of place you can put someone. I mean, you can put them in solitary confinement or what they call the hole, but all that's going to do is just keep them away from other inmates, other prisoners. That's about it. But mm, I don't think it matters. I really don't. But you know what? We wouldn't even really be having this problem or even having to talk about these sort of things if, and I do mean if, they stop making things that used to be misdemeanors into felonies. I think that would curb a lot of stuff, to be honest with you. Because you got people in there for nonviolent, uh, no victim type crimes. And what for? There's no reason that a person who was driving without a driver's license because he got suspended or something for some petty reason that he should be considered a criminal and thrown in prison. That's absurd. You know what I mean? So chewing gum in public shouldn't get you thrown in prison either. But in the U.S., everything's a felony. They say the average American commits multiple felonies unaware every day. So that gives the law enforcement agencies and the government in particular unlimited amounts of tools that they can use if they want to target someone who has fallen out of favor with the government or the local authorities. All right. So we need to understand that. All right. It's not a game. It's not a joke. All right. So this should cause people to really think about how the prison industrial complex is allowed to just go unchecked and even regulate itself. Really? That's that doesn't even make any sense. So a lot of abuses will continue only because there really isn't regulation, not really per se, because you're allowing them to do whatever they want to do and then they self-regulate. Now, it's a very complex topic, but we do know that it's rife with a lot of problems. There's no reason why the United States should be the prison planet of the world, where the United States has more people locked up than any other nation. As a matter of fact, the United States have more people locked up than all other nations combined. And they fail to see the problem with that? Really? You don't see that as a issue that needs to be addressed? Really? Well, it is what it is, folks. So until they deal with that, I think we're going to continue to see all types of continued information coming out about violations in prisons and things of that nature. You know, it varies from coast to coast. East Coast prison politics varies tremendously from West Coast prison politics. Private prisons have their own thing. State prisons do their own thing, and then the federal prisons do their own thing. So everyone has their own thing, their own politics, things of that nature. So it's not like you can do a one size fits all. It's just different, and you have to address the issues where they're located. Like for instance, if you are locked up on the West Coast, California specifically, as soon as you step on the yard, man, they want to see your paperwork. The inmates are gonna be like, "Yo, what's up with that paperwork?" On the East Coast, no one cares about your paperwork. But on the West Coast, they care about your paperwork. And if you got bad paperwork, meaning that you are in there for, you know, essaying, or if you're in there because you made a law enforcement agent unalive, your your stay is going to be very difficult. Now, if you are uh, you know, an SA person, you will probably not live too long anyway, especially if children were involved. If you made unalive a law enforcement officer agent, then it's possible you may not live very long behind the walls there too. But if you are allowed to live, your stay is going to be extremely uncomfortable. You may get the tar beaten out of you every day by all of the officers. Don't expect to be fed. Don't expect to be let out to take a shower. Don't expect toiletries. Don't expect commissary. Don't expect nothing. All right. So these are just facts, folks. I don't make the rules. I'm just talking about it. You know what I'm saying? So, but it is an industrial complex, and the private prisons make money. The state has to pay them for every empty bed they have. So there is a conflict of interest where the state is in their best interest financially to give in to the lobbyists who want to make misdemeanors into felonies. So now more offenses will land you in the prison industrial complex. All right. So in Florida, prisoners say that the stalls are often filthy with feces, urine, blood, black mold, and mice. But that's pretty much every jail and every prison. Pretty much. Some say they have been thrown in with untreated injuries and open wounds. That happens every day in the United States. I don't care where you are. That does happen. Healthcare is almost non-existent in the prison system, or we'll just say the prison industrial complex. That includes local jails, private prisons, federal prisons, state prisons. The prison industrial complex. All right. Healthcare is, for the most part, non-existent. Um, and again, it depends on the politics. Again, if you harmed an officer, do you really think you go into sick bay? No, no. And if you do, if you are allowed to go there, you're going to go there for a few more extra wounds and injuries. It's just what it is. You crossed the wrong person. You got beef with a gang member, and you're unaffiliated. You are a solo. You're Han Solo. You're not part of a clique. You're not part of a gang, and you just got beef with a gang member. You don't just have a problem with that person. You have a problem with their entire set in every building located on that prison where they are located. And even if you leave that particular prison and go to another one, a kite will follow you, letting them know that it is on site if you see this person. I know it's hard to hear. So you thought all that was just in movies. It's not just in movies. Sorry. All right. And yes, the Florida Department of Corrections has been locking up incarcerated people in shower stalls, often for hours at a time, in clear violation of prison policy. And it is, you can look this up. All right. Tampa Bay Times did some investigation. They found that several prisoners say that they had to eat meals and go to the bathroom in the cramped, unsanitary stalls. Yeah. Yeah. Think about it. When they're, especially in solitary confinement, when they put you in that little teeny dark room. Now, each place is run differently. It depends on the situation. Like if you're like in a jail is run different than a prison. Like when they put you in like the solitary confinement or quote unquote the hole in jail, you're going into a tiny cell, smaller than the cell you normally were housed in. But the difference is the light is never going to turn off. The light stays on you 24/7. There's a camera locked in directly square on you. They're watching you 24/7. There is always an officer sitting in the booth, watching the screen, watching every move you make in that cell. All right. This is why the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing is a bunch of cap. It's all cap. Oh, the camera wasn't working in that hallway that day. Lies. All lies. The cameras are always working. They're always on. They're always recording. And even if they're not, let's just say the camera was on, but it wasn't recording. There is a human being in that video booth watching all of those screens of every person in that system. They're watching the hallways, the corridors, everywhere where there is a camera. Even for whatever reason, the camera. Let's say there was a cyber attack, and now the cameras aren't recording, but they're still on, and there's still a human being watching those cameras nonstop, 24/7. When that officer is dismissed and he's done with his shift, another one comes in. That officer who's sitting there does not get up and leave until they are physically relieved for a new officer. So you can't say, well, we didn't see it. Lies. You did see it. Now, what you don't know is in the event of an emergency, let's say for whatever reason, all the cameras in the facility went dark. All right. Let's just say whatever, for whatever reason. All right. Do you know what happens then? All ingress and egress in that facility comes to a halt. The whole facility goes on lockdown. Nothing's moving. The only thing moving in them hallways is officers. All inmates will be locked down immediately. So again, the foolishness saying, oh, we don't know, we didn't see. Yes, you did know. Yes, you did see. All right. And on top of that, the officers are supposed to make rounds. Now, some places, like I said, each place is a little bit different. All right. But policy is policy. And the general rule of thumb is that the on-duty officers have to make rounds. And they normally do this, every so often. Sometimes up to 2, 3, 4 times in an hour. Sometimes once every 15 minutes, you got somebody walking by. And in some places, a person is standing there, never moving, never going nowhere. Just depends on the facility and the situation and how high profile of individuals you got in there. So in interviews and letters, 14 current or former Florida prisoners describe corrections officers locking them in showers at prisons across the state, including at one juvenile facility. 22 lawsuits also describe the practice. The allegations relate to incidents at more than 30 facilities over the span of 2 decades. All right. Now, some prisoners said they were held for an hour, others 8 hours, 12 hours, or longer. I will say this, and this is not in the prison industrial complex's defense, but 20 years ago, the prison industrial complex was a different beast than it is today. All right. For instance, the PREA laws are a virtually new concept. They didn't exist in the 80s and the 90s. Okay. And that's the prison rape, initiative, whatever. So you have that now. Also, it's easier now for people who are in the prison industrial complex. If you commit a crime in there, then you can get street charges. All right. And that will give you a whole bunch more time. It can even affect your profile ranking in the system as well. So if you are in a more minimal security facility, you could get jacked all the way up to a maximum or even a super max. You know what I'm saying? So that comes into play as well. And when it comes to juvenile facilities, that's a whole different beast of itself also, because you got to treat juveniles differently than you treat the adults. It's just different rules, different regulations, the whole nine. It's just a different beast. One man, Kobe Anderson, said that on his 17th birthday in 2011, he was held in a shower for 8 hours at Indian River Correctional Institution, a youth facility in Vero Beach that has since shuttered. Since then, he estimates he's been held in shower stalls at a dozen facilities across the state. Now, you got to know this too. Most of these facilities are not equipped to deal with, the kind of inmates that come in there. You got a lot of people in there with undiagnosed psychological and mental problems and issues. And the facilities are not equipped to really deal with someone like that. So they do whatever means they feel they have to do to get the inmate to comply with the rules and regulations of the facility. And if that inmate is giving the officers a hard time and not cooperating, then they don't really have a whole lot of punishment measures that they can use. I mean, think about it. You're already locked up. So you're thinking, what more can you do to me? Okay, you can put me in solitary confinement. Okay, well, I'm still locked up. It's not like I'm not locked up. I'm just locked up, locked up. Another man, Milton Thompson, said he was confined in a shower for 23 hours this past summer while at Blackwater River Correctional Facility in Florida, Panhandle. He was given no bathroom breaks and only a plastic bag to defecate in. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if they'll be able to reform this beast. I really don't. It's a big one. It's one of those situations where, like I said, society really doesn't care. They don't give a darn. So the best thing you can do is not find yourself in there. If you're a young person listening, stay off the corner. Stay out the streets. Don't be joining gangs and gang banging and doing all this stuff that's going to get you thrown in prison and wreck the rest of your life. There's no fun in it. It's not cool. Going to jail, going to prison, it's not cool. Having a felony conviction, it's not cool. Being under house arrest with an ankle monitor on, that's not cool. That's not a rite of passage. It's not. All right. And at the end of the day, society's not going to care about you. So you think, okay, I'll go to jail, I'll do my time, but you don't get it. It's not about you doing your time. You're ruined forever. You have a scarlet letter forever. After you do your time, I don't care how much time you do. When you come out, now the world knows that you're a convicted felon, and no one's going to trust you, and no one's going to want to do any type of business with you. No one's going to want to hire you. No one's going to trust you at all. All right? You don't need that. You don't want that in your life. Get an education, learn a trade or a skill, start a business, but it all falls back to some type of education. You got to learn something, learn a trade, learn a skill, do something with your life other than being in the streets. And then it won't matter what they're doing in the prisons because it won't be anyone in there. If people just stop going to prison and stop getting locked up from doing dumb stuff, stupid stuff, then the prisons will be empty anyway. Okay. Now I understand that things can happen. You can find yourself on the wrong side of the law, even due to no fault of your own. Innocent people are locked up every day. All right. We know that's also factual. But don't start none, won't be none. All right. And with that being said, hope everyone enjoyed the pre-market morning show. Don't forget to smash that like button, share this with friends and family. You never know who it may help, encourage, or inform. And I'll see you guys back here at 11:30 for the Thinking Outside the Box podcast. You don't want to miss it because you never know what crazy things are going to come out of my mouth. And with that, I'm out. Peace.